Alright, what's up everyone? Welcome to this episode. This is going to be a little behind the scenes. I'm actually going to be recording a solo podcast episode right now. That's what this episode is going to be. But as I kind of get everything set up, I just decided to turn the camera on. The garage is a mess right now because I'm in the middle of creating a little detail studio behind me. The car will be pulled out, just redid the floors. Everything you see over here is going to be gone. I ordered a huge cabinet set, and so I'm creating a podcast studio slash detail studio. So like I was saying, I'm creating a whole podcast studio slash detail studio to hopefully do more videos and have a cool backdrop for the podcast. So as I record this podcast, I'm still kind of in the middle of doing all that. Let me get this situated, plug my mic in. So that's what I've been kind of working on. I was expecting to have my cabinets and install them today, but I read the delivery date wrong. So the delivery date was for next week. So this week's episode is actually going to be about how to handle the prosumer. And since I'm in the garage, let me just text my wife that I'm doing a podcast in the garage. And then 20 minutes. Alright, let me fire up the computer. Headphones over here. So this is actually the spot that I record a lot of podcasts in, but I decided that I should take advantage of being able to do video as I record podcast, and so thus I was like, you know what, I can't really have a crappy background. I want to have a nice background going. Mic's on. There we go. Boom. All right. So let me figure out what episode this is actually going to be, and then I'll open up my recording software and start recording. This is going live on Monday. This is going to be my Monday morning podcast. Let me see if I could switch that. So this episode is going to be number 340. Episode 340 of the Auto Detailing Podcast. So let me add my intro here. Probably help if I could see. There we go. Added intro. Let me double check and make sure it's the right one. It's the right one. Alright. Here we go. Episode 340 of the Auto Detailing Podcast. Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome to, and I actually messed that up because I had the wrong mic set. Alright, let's try it again. Hey, what's going on everyone? Welcome to episode 340 of the Auto Detailing Podcast. I'm Jimbo, your host. If you want a little behind the scenes on how this episode came together, you can head on over to my YouTube channel. That's youtube.com. Actually, if you go to autodetailingpodcast.com/YouTube, that'll redirect you to that. I set up a camera to my left, and kind of talk through the camera a little bit on a behind the scenes of how this podcast actually happens and gets started and all that stuff. So this episode is brought to you by autofiber.com, and if you watch this video on YouTube, if you want to shoot over there, even for this part, I'm showing right now the quad flip, I think it's called, or the basically it's a rinseless towel that has this sewn edge that makes for an easy fold. And what that does is gives you a clean side of the towel without having to fold it all wonky and all that. So you can get, what is that, like 1, 2, I think it's 8 sides, all 8 clean sides at a time, and you can flip it inside out. It's reversible, has this additional sewn edge so you can flip it halfway. It's a really great towel if you're doing rinseless washes, or if you're very, very particular about having a clean side every time you wipe your car. You can save 20% on that at autofiber.com if you use the offer code DFLIP. That's D as in dog, flip, F-L-I-P. No spaces, dashes, or anything like that. Over at autofiber.com. Comes in this really cool blue color. And like I said, if you want to see it on the video, you can head over to autodetailingpodcast.com, and that is going to redirect you to my YouTube channel, to where you can see this video. And I talk a little bit about the garage renovation that I currently have going on, which is, my garage is a complete mess, but that's okay because I got flooring laid. I have a massive cabinet set coming, and so I plan on doing a lot more podcast episodes. Obviously are not going anywhere, and I would actually really like to increase the amount of content that I put out there podcast wise, especially as I see so many podcasts popping up and people trying to take advantage of that. Anyway, so got that going on, but I don't want the video to take away from the audio, which is where I started, and I really enjoy much more than video. Anyway, today kind of goes in that vein, though, of content production, marketing, and all that stuff. And there's a lot of these type of people that actually listen to the podcast. And I used to get the question a lot of, oh, you must get all this work from having a podcast and all that, which wasn't true until recently. And it's becoming more true with this new sect of people, or I like to call them prosumers, and I'm really not sure if I don't think I made that word up. I think I heard it somewhere. But I believe that it's going to, similar to what coatings are doing to the industry, if we focus on this prosumer market, it's a really, really next level opportunity for us as detailers to separate ourselves from the guys that are going for the price war down to the bottom, guys that are trying to be the cheapest, and that's how they get work, which I have a soft spot for those type of people, because sometimes you just have to get there, and we've talked about that a lot. But there's this whole sect of consumers that are extremely informed and intelligent when it comes to detailing related products, detailing related processes, and I really think that coatings have ushered this in, and where it really aligns with a lot of things that have been talked about in our industry before is that education. So the way everyone has talked about, you know, being able to raise prices before and get and charge more and get more is by educating your customers, educating them on the paint correction process, why they need paint correction, the different types of paint protection. And so this education aspect of our jobs, in conjunction with the information overload, with the, how's this for an old term, the information superhighway, aka the internet. I think when we have detailers informing clients on a face-to-face level, and then we have clients going home and researching, you know, stuff like car coatings, we have this perfect mix of a very well-informed consumer, aka a prosumer. Now, the downside to this, obviously, is that with the internet, and even with detailers informing people, or car washes informing consumers face-to-face, there is an opportunity for a lot of misinformation. But as I've been talking about these prosumer type people recently on the podcast, because I've been dealing with them in my day-to-day detailing business, and that's kind of where this term prosumer came about, because they're, and let me start by breaking down prosumer. A prosumer is essentially someone who can do it. They're a consumer, so they're looking to buy your service, but at the same time, they are also someone that can probably do the service themselves. They just are either not as confident in it, or don't have the time. So, and that's kind of what I'm realizing, is that the prosumers are usually people that are well-to-do, well-off, have, you know, money that they can spend on a luxury service like a detailing service, are passionate or kind of OCD, kind of have the OCD personality, very meticulous, very well educated, not in the sense of college educated or school educated, but educated in the sense that they've probably watched 4 million YouTube videos on a certain subject. Similar to what I did with my garage, actually. I would consider myself a prosumer when it comes to the garage space because of the, even after having my flooring laid and all that, I still continue to watch videos and kind of educate myself on that. And I think we all do that. And that's one thing I've been a proponent of in regards to marketing your detailing businesses. Look at what your consumer behavior and habits are outside of your profession. But when you go to look for a plumber or a restaurant to eat at, or if you're going to buy a new refrigerator or washer and dryer or a new car, or you're going to put window tint on your car, or just look at your behaviors and habits as a consumer, and then figure other people are doing that as well, except for looking for your detailing business, and then you can get a better grasp on how to market people. Because let's say you go to Instagram for everything, well, but then on the backside you're lacking on your Instagram strategy. That would be a problem, right? Because if your habits are to go to Instagram to find a restaurant, a plumber, investigate a little bit further, but you're not actually doing that in your detailing business, that would be a problem. Anyway, I hope this podcast isn't like way off the reservation all the time with a bunch of tangents, but I just have a lot of things I want to say about this prosumer. Anyway, so back on track. That's what the type of person a prosumer is. So the good part about that is that they understand, and this has been a big issue, especially with people undercutting each other and customers constantly looking for a deal. It eliminates a big issue, is that most prosumers, and I say most because I don't want to say all, most prosumers, because they're well educated in the service that they're looking for, are okay with paying a premium for that service. And in fact, in my experience, what it has been, if someone comes in at a low price for the service that they are well educated in, so for example, a customer wants a ceramic coating, or what could I use? What would be a better, I'll do this one. I did an RV 2 weeks ago. The guy wanted it wash and sealed. This guy was a complete prosumer. It was actually a trailer. He had done his research online and narrowed it down to, and talked to a friend and had narrowed it down to 4 detailers. So he's in Orange County. Obviously, there's no shortage of detailers in Orange County, which is my local area. And this particular customer had narrowed his selection down to 4 detailers before he had even hopped on the phone with any of them. So just in doing his own research online, had narrowed who he was going to select down to 4 people, right? And the funny part, or the, not funny, but kind of interesting part about that is this gentleman worked in construction. He sealed concrete, so he was very familiar with concrete protection, so sealants and coatings, and I guess they don't really have wax for concrete, but he was familiar with the protection aspect of concrete, which has through lines to paint protection, right? So he was familiar with terms like sealant or coating. So, and then on top of that, he did a bunch of his own research. So he was very well informed, very well versed in terminology, what it did, what he should expect. He had certain needs for this trailer because it was sitting out in a parking lot for a long period of time. So he had narrowed it down to four detailers. One of them, he had a referral from his friend, which is very difficult to beat. When you have a personal referral, that is a very, very, very hard to beat out that referral. So one of them was a referral from a friend. One of them had a shop. One of them, he tried calling and was put off by the detailer's voicemail message that he had called twice. Never received a call back, but was just put off by the way that the detailer came off on their voicemail message, which is actually probably a pretty good quick tip. And then the fourth person was me. So so here's where it gets into how to deal with the prosumer. Is that because they're very well educated, they want you to be very well educated and be able to converse with them about subject matter. It makes sense because there's still a sense that they feel like they have a good grasp on what it is, but they're just not confident in that because they've been doing all this reading. So they're a little not confident in it, and they call you to talk about it to reassure the confidence in them, or instill the confidence in them that what they've read is actual legit, and their expectation that they've begun to get off reading all this stuff is what they should actually be expecting. But let me walk through the other two options. So one of the detailers he was immediately turned off by, just got a bad vibe from the voicemail message only. And the bummer part about it is that detailer could have landed the job because his website had so much information on it, and that detailer was actually closer to the client than I was, and the client loved this person's website, this detailer's website, because of the vast amount of information was on it, only to be turned off by the voicemail message, which I think is a huge bummer. The other detailer had a shop, and it just wasn't convenient to bring a trailer there, so that's why that detailer was out. The personal referral, here's where it gets interesting. The personal referral came out, looked at the trailer, which is great, which is what I actually asked for pictures because the guy was too far away. And then quoted the guy at almost half of the price that I quoted, almost half of the price that I had quoted him to do the exact same trailer. The difference was that this other detailer at half the price was gonna put a paste wax on the trailer. I was gonna put a sealant. I actually had walked the client through all the options, the wax sealant or the wax sealant coating, and kind of described each of the benefits and the downsides of all of them. And he had a good grasp on that because of the research he was doing and because of his profession that I actually didn't know until I completed the job. So that's interesting. And so I had walked him through the process. He decided on a sealant would be the best option for his trailer. A coating was at a budget, and a wax, which is what he had heard from the other detailer, and I learned later, the words of the detailer were, "Man, I'm just old school. This is tried and true. I'm just gonna do a paste wax. I don't mess with those sealants or coatings or whatever." And the guy was half the price. Now, the informed consumer, the prosumer, my client, which all this information I found out about after the fact, because we had developed this kind of bond and friendship over this amount of time that it actually took to land the job and complete it. But the guy was half the price. The other detailer was half the price that I was, and was a nice guy, came from a family referral, so a reputable resource, a reputable referral. Where it fell off for the prosumer, even though he was half the price. So this is a true testament that it's not always about price. But where it dropped off for the prosumer was he didn't feel like, and this is so weird to even say because it's usually the exact opposite of this, but the prosumer didn't feel that the job was going to be done good enough because the guy was too cheap in his eyes. So let that soak in for a little bit. The prosumer thought that he was going to get a lesser job. Well, there's where my grammar really is beautiful. He felt like he was going to get a job that was subpar to what he wanted because it wasn't expensive enough. And so I guess it could be too expensive, right? And that's where having options for a wax, sealant, or coating are great, unlike that other detailer who strictly offered only a paste wax. But he wasn't expensive enough. And of course I didn't know that going into it and all that, but he wasn't expensive enough.
Oh. Dada, where's my shoes?
Right there, bud.
Where? Oh, Dada.
Yes.
Is my piggy bank out here?
No.
Can I come there?
Say hello, hello, hello.
Who is it?
No one. I'm just doing it myself.
But who is it?
I gotta work, okay? Hold on, hold on. Had a little distraction with the family, so here we go. Let me this is always the hard part of I gotta get it back going. He wasn't expensive enough. That to me is the craziest part about it, is that the detailer lost the job because he wasn't expensive enough. Now that is like a huge home run, dream come true for us as detailers. And that is the gist of it, is that they have these prosumers, I think, are ideal customers, especially if you're into detailing the right way, and I use that in air quotes, or the proper way, because that is what prosumers are looking for. And in fact, I think us as detailers are actually prosumers in other areas as well. We want, when we go to a restaurant, we're kind of nitpicking everything, and because I think a lot of us have OCD and ADHD and ADD and all the A's and D's, is that we hyper focus, because that's our job, is that we hyper focus on little details, because that's what we do, right? That's what we have to do to be successful in our business. And I think prosumers are that. They are in the same vein as we are as detailers, and so they see the value in it. And that's kind of what that customer with the trailer said, is that he goes, you know, I started thinking, how can this guy do it for, I think it was like 175 bucks. He's like, for $175, it just seems like so much work. Like, it's too much work for $175. But at $350, it was kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. And it was a 3-hour job tops. So, and that's where efficiencies and all that come in as the detailer. But I think it's a huge home run. I think the prosumer market is a huge home run. I think it's great for our industry as detailers, because when you can talk to the customer, you can continue to educate, you can continue to inform them, you can continue to let your knowledge and information shine, and maybe that's a good time to throw out certifications. That's a good time to throw out where you've been trained, who you've been trained by, even though I still don't think it matters, because even with coatings, you know, customers say, oh, well, I've read a bunch about this coating, but look, you're the professional. I want you to decide for me. And that's a great place to be as a detailer, is when the customer trusts you enough. So the prosumer learns a ton, reads a ton, and then says, you know what? At the end of the day, I think you know more than I do, and that's where our continuing knowledge, and if you're listening to a podcast all about detailing, you're obviously into continuing your knowledge in the detailing space. And so, yeah, so prosumers, huge. Now, if you are a prosumer or an informed consumer, how do you hire a detailer? And I think that bringing up that trailer scenario was perfect, because obviously, guys and gals, we all do this. Our search patterns are the same. when you're looking at a service, and this is where having a website and a social media program and putting out content is huge, and this is where it's becoming good for me, is that they're all supplementary to each other. So when I'm looking for, I see something cool. So I saw a really cool commercial. I happened to be at the in-laws yesterday and saw this commercial for a truck bed organizer thing that was kind of cool. The first thing I do, I don't know why, but I look at their Instagram and I see what their Instagram looks like, which is why I've decided to take a big approach and big effort into my Instagram for the podcast at the Auto Detailing Podcast on Instagram. If you want to follow that and see where I'm at with that, I literally started that June 1st, but I've been putting some serious effort into actually have a whole team behind that, starting back in June and kind of continuing through. I have a whole team dedicated to that because I suck so bad at it. But whether it's Instagram, whether it's Facebook, whether it's YouTube, whether it's your website, it's crazy to me how many detailers still don't have a website. If you want a free website, you can join the Detailer Inner Circle. We'll give you a free website. That's how important we think it is. Willing to give it away for free if you're in the Inner Circle. But all these social media platforms, the internet, your website, YouTube, even if your videos are crappy like mine are, even if your videos are crappy like mine are, you could start trying to find the hacks in them, like I'm doing. So setting up a camera and recording a podcast episode, I'm getting the audio, the clean audio, because I have my mic and my computer and all that. But it's not much extra effort to set up a camera and get a video out of it to put it on YouTube. I don't really consume that much video, but a lot of people do. I consume way more audio than I do video. But I think it's important to put as much content across as many platforms as possible, because you never know what's going to resonate with people, right? So the same comes into play for a prosumer, is that you never know. If I look at my own search patterns with this truck bed organizer thing, I'm on their Instagram and then I'm clicking the link in their bio, going to their website, and then maybe I'll check out their Facebook page. And I'm just kind of checking everything to see. I don't even really know what I'm checking to see, to be honest. I think it's that I'm checking to see relevance, because if they don't have an Instagram or they don't have a Facebook page, it's just kind of like, I lose interest. I guess that I'm trying to think this out and kind of decipher it as I'm talking here, and I think it's that I lose interest in the brand or in the company, or they don't seem relevant. And I think that's true with branding and logos and website design and the look of the brand, especially us as detailers and in the car niche. We look at, it's such a visual thing. I feel like this has just been an episode of tangents, but I really want to wrap it all into the same thing, and that is that prosumers are well-educated people willing to pay for a service, willing to pay a more than fair price, maybe even a little bit higher on the spectrum, as long as you can deliver on the quality of service that you're selling them on. So they're well-informed consumers willing to pay a premium for a great service, and then as the detailer, you have to be able to communicate with them the service that you're going to offer, reassure them, build confidence in them that you can deliver on that service, and then you actually have to deliver on that service. But if you can complete that full circle for that client, not only will you have a client for life, you're going to have a cream of the crop client. The best possible client, the client that all detailers wish for, dream for, pray for, is the prosumer market. So if you have that, you have the perfect ingredients to nailing the prosumer market. So I hope to put out a lot more content based around this prosumer market, because I want you, if you're listening to this podcast, you are the type of person, you are the perfect candidate for that prosumer. And that prosumer market is how you can take your detailing business, part of the way you can take your detailing business to the next level. Because the longer I do this, the more I do it, the more I'm convinced that it's not a one single nail in the coffin that nails it for you. It's multiple things. It's the whole package that you have to deliver. Everything from your voicemail, greeting tone, to how you talk to that person when you finally get them on the phone, to the showing up prompt, to the set appointment time, to delivering on that service, to collecting payment. It really has to be the whole package. And the prosumer is a very informed, could be delicate. You're going to spend a lot of time on the phone with them. They're going to have a lot of questions, and that's what kind of justifies that higher price tag as well, because you're going to be spending a lot of time answering questions, explaining things, because they're getting information from the internet, and they want clarification from a professional. So in the trailer RV scenario, you know, I talked with him on the phone. We had about a 30-minute phone conversation to discuss all the services. This is after he had checked out my website. And then we had a 30-minute phone conversation. His trailer was stuck at the dealership for some time. So we had a few continuing conversations that were maybe in the 5 to 10 minute range about time frame to get his trailer done, when he was going to get it out. He finally got it out. We nailed down the time, and then actually completing the service, being prompt, and communicating all the way through is how you're going to be successful. And not granted, but on top of that, prosumers tip. So not only did I get double the amount of money for not the same job, because I offered a higher level of service than the previous detailer for this trailer, but on top of that, I got a tip. So go figure that. So I love this prosumer market. I have a few other stories that maybe I'll trickle through that I can. I'm just seeing more and more of these prosumer type people pop up. So anyway, that's this week's episode 340 of the Auto Detailing Podcast. I hope you enjoyed kind of this video format mixed in with the audio. Hopefully it didn't take away from the audio. I'm a little concerned about that. I don't want to take away from where I started and kind of the platform I love the most to do video. But I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Get your quad flip towel at Auto Fiber. You can also check out JimboDaily.com. That's where I have all the detailing accessories I like. An ever-growing collection, and I consider it the Auto Detailing Podcast store. JimboDaily.com for that. Obviously, the Detailer Inner Circle. Conversations like this have been popping up all the time, and we've really been discussing how to handle this prosumer market, along with you know, how to use old school marketing techniques and new school marketing techniques, follow-up techniques. We have a whole, not only did we give you a website with the Detailer Inner Circle, but we have this thing called SMS Conversations, which is a text-based platform to follow up on the referral. We have a whole referral, or not a referral, but a whole lead generation, not only a website, but we have a lead generation way to interact with the customers as they come in, as they put in. So you have a prosumer come into your website, they land on your website, they put in an appointment request, and then we have a whole text message platform set up to where you can start interacting and engaging with that customer automatically, because you really want to follow up with that appointment request within the first hour, I would say. So we have that all built out really efficiently, which is the name of the game, being efficient in your detailing business. You can check all that out, detailerinnercircle.com, if that interests you. Obviously, you could write me a message if you have any further questions. And with that, guys, I'm going to wrap up episode 340. I hope you liked that. Give me your feedback on this video audio thing. I'd really like to hear. Obviously, I love engaging with you guys. It's probably the thing I like the most, is just reading your messages, trying to get back, and I'm even trying to hack that, because the message levels are getting high. But the way I'm combating that is you'll get an audio message back. I was engaging with a gentleman through Facebook Messenger the other day, and the conversation was getting kind of lengthy and complex, and I was out with the wife on date night, and I'm like, you know what, instead of sitting here with my thumbs trying to type this out, I'm gonna do what I do best and talk and send an audio message back. So that's what I did. So hey, if you write in, you may get an audio message back. I don't know if that's cool or lame or whatever, but it's just kind of a way that I'm trying to get more efficient with interacting with you guys more. So without further ado, that is episode 340. I really enjoyed it. It still amazes me that I could talk to myself for 30 minutes, which is what we did. But I hope you guys got some value out of that. And this will just be, this is really the part one in a multi-part series dealing with prosumers. But there we go. Without me blabbing too much, I'm going to cut the episode right there. Catch you guys on the next episode of the Auto Detailing Podcast. I really appreciate you guys listening. See ya. All right, so that's that. That is how I record an episode. As you can see, the car's gone behind me. The wife took the kids. We had one baby sleeping. I'm gonna export this audio 340 final and get it up and going. I gotta go get the baby. Woke up, it's about 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. I'm gonna get this episode edited out by Monday morning, which is Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday is the episodes, the days that I have episodes releasing currently. So I don't know. I hope you guys enjoyed that little behind the scenes of what it's like to record the podcast.